On a quiet spring night, while most of a city slept peacefully, a sequence of routine actions began inside an industrial complex that was never meant to fail. There were no alarms at first, no screams, no explosions that shook the sky. Just men in control rooms, following procedures, trusting systems, believing that nothing truly catastrophic could happen. What none of them realized was that a single misjudgment, layered on top of flawed design and human overconfidence, was about to unleash an invisible enemy powerful enough to poison land, air, and generations yet unborn. This was not a war. It was not an attack. It was a mistake. And by the time anyone understood what had happened, an entire city was already living on borrowed time. Today on Wikivedia Plus, we will explore the accident that almost erased a city. Let's dive in. The night of April 26, 1986, began like any other inside reactor number 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Engineers prepared for a late-night safety test, one that had been postponed multiple times and was now scheduled during a low-power operation phase. The test itself was meant to be simple: determine whether the reactor's turbines could continue to generate enough electricity to power cooling systems during a temporary loss of external power. On paper, it was routine. In reality, it was a perfect storm waiting to happen. As power levels dropped, operators encountered unexpected instability. Instead of shutting the reactor down completely, they attempted to compensate, withdrawing control rods beyond safe limits and disabling automatic safety systems to keep the test running. Each of these decisions, taken individually, might have been survivable. Together, they created a reactor operating far outside its intended design parameters. Unknown to the crew, the BMK reactor design had a fatal flaw. Under certain low-power conditions, it became dangerously unstable. When the test finally began, the reactor surged instead of stabilizing. At 1:23 a.m., operators pressed the emergency shutdown button, known as AZ5, expecting the reactor to calm instantly. Instead, the opposite happened. The control rods, tipped with graphite, initially increased reactivity as they entered the core. Within seconds, power output skyrocketed to hundreds of times its normal level. Fuel channels ruptured, steam pressure exploded the reactor vessel. A second explosion, likely chemical, tore the roof apart, exposing the reactor core directly to the atmosphere. For the first time in human history, a nuclear reactor burned openly under the night sky. Radiation poured into the air, invisible and unstoppable. Graphite blocks ignited, sending plumes of radioactive smoke thousands of meters upward. Inside the plant, workers stared in disbelief, some convinced the reactor was intact despite physical evidence lying before them. Firefighters arrived within minutes, unaware they were walking into one of the most radioactive environments ever created. They fought flames bravely, touching burning graphite with bare hands, breathing in lethal particles with every breath. Just 3 kilometers away lay the city of Prypiat. Nearly 50,000 people lived there, most of them families of plant workers. Children slept with windows open. Couples planned their weekends. No sirens warned them. No evacuation orders came. Life continued normally while radiation levels soared to hundreds of times the lethal dose. By morning, residents noticed strange metallic tastes in their mouths. Some experienced nausea and dizziness. Children played under falling ash, not knowing it was radioactive fallout. Authorities delayed evacuation, unsure of the scale of the disaster and unwilling to admit the truth. It wasn't until 36 hours later that buses finally arrived. Citizens were told they would be gone for 3 days. They left pets behind, food remained on tables, toys stayed on beds. No one knew they would never return. The evacuation of Prypiat saved many lives, but it was only the beginning. Radiation clouds spread across Ukraine, Belarus, Russia, and into Europe. Entire villages were abandoned. Forests turned red and died. Animals mutated. Cancer rates climbed silently over decades. Thousands of liquidators were sent to contain the disaster, many receiving fatal doses while shoveling radioactive debris from rooftops or building the massive concrete sarcophagus around the destroyed reactor. What makes Chernobyl especially terrifying is not just what happened, but how close it came to becoming far worse beneath the reactor lay pools of water. If the molten nuclear fuel had reached them, a massive thermal explosion could have occurred, potentially rendering vast regions of Eastern Europe permanently uninhabitable. 3 engineers volunteered to drain the water, walking into pitch-black radioactive chambers, knowing they might not survive. They succeeded. Their actions likely prevented a continental catastrophe. The city that almost vanished still stands today, frozen in time. Prypiat remains an empty shell, reclaimed slowly by nature. Ferris wheels rust, classrooms gather dust, radiation lingers in soil and bone. Chernobyl became a symbol of technological arrogance, secrecy, and the price of ignoring safety in pursuit of deadlines. Yet Chernobyl is not just history, it is a warning. Modern society depends more than ever on complex systems we barely understand. Nuclear power, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and automated infrastructure all carry immense potential and unimaginable risk. The lesson of Chernobyl is not that technology is evil, but that human error, when amplified by powerful systems, can reshape the fate of millions in seconds. The accident that almost erased a city did not begin with an explosion. It began with assumptions, with confidence, with the belief that nothing could go wrong. And that may be the most dangerous mindset of all. As the exclusion zone slowly transforms into a strange wildlife sanctuary, one truth remains etched into history. The city did not disappear, but it came terrifyingly close. And next time, the margin for error may be even smaller. This is the end of our story, but not the end of its consequences. If this video made you think, ask yourself what other systems around us depend on the same fragile balance between human judgment and unstoppable power. What other accidents are waiting silently behind locked doors? Share your thoughts in the comments, suggest the next mystery you want us to uncover, and if you want to keep exploring the hidden forces shaping our world, subscribe and join us for the next episode of Wikivedia Plus.